In this video lecture, we will be learning about reading and writing connections and using non-print texts in literacy instruction in disciplinary content areas. The information provided in this video is a brief summary based on the texts Best Practices in Writing Instruction, Chapter 13, and Disciplinary Literacy, Chapter 10. Before we begin to explore the reading-writing connection and the implications for teaching in secondary disciplinary areas, let's discuss a few foundational concepts about the relationships between reading and writing. First, it's important to understand that reading and writing both depend on similar but not identical linguistic cognitive information, such as meta-knowledge, knowledge of sound-symbol relationships, and knowledge of the communicative relationship between reader and writer. First, reading and writing have a shared meta-knowledge, or knowing the functions and purposes, and able to monitor comprehension and production processes. This includes knowledge about substance and content, such as world knowledge and content knowledge, knowledge about universal text attributes, such as syntax and text organization, and knowledge and skills needed to negotiate reading and writing, both as procedure and communication. Another similarity that both reading and writing depend on is an understanding of sound-symbol relationships in order to form meaning. Finally, reading and writing both have a shared understanding of the communicative nature of the relationship between reader and writer. Combining reading and writing provides richer learning experiences for students engaging with content. So how can we do this? There are two overarching recommendations. First, both reading and writing need to be taught regularly, and secondly, foundational skills need to be taught. Let's take a closer look at three instructional implications based on current research. Since reading and writing depend on a shared knowledge and shared process, teachers can explicitly design instruction that includes instruction on how the language works. In early grades, this can involve spelling and phonemic awareness, and later grades, this can involve disciplinary vocabulary. Additionally, providing student opportunities to write and read at the same time in the same instructional cycle and using the same language skills will lead to greater gains in literacy. Next, we want to consider writing as communication. Writers compose for an audience. To do this, they anticipate readers' needs, recognize what readers already know and what they will need to know in order to understand. They control their tone for specific purposes. Readers must draw upon the same skills of audience when reading texts in different disciplinary studies. For instance, historians draw inferences about the author's point of view, while English students seek to understand the tone or persona of the author. Writers have many audiences they may be writing for, and students benefit from having the opportunity to engage in writing for different types of audiences. Additionally, readers draw upon similar skills when reading as one of these audiences. For instance, writers can write intrapersonally. This often includes reflective writing such as diaries, learning logs, etc. With this type of writing, writers can use shortcuts and do not need to be explicit with every detail as they have the knowledge of what they are writing about. Writers can also write interpersonally. This includes written conversations and correspondences between writers and readers who are in close or closed relationship. Writing for this audience depends on the shared knowledge between the audience and reader and the writer. Lastly, writers can write impersonally, for instance for publication for unknown or distant readers. When writing for this audience, writers must consider the need for explicit information because the knowledge the audience have may be unknown, and they must consider unexpected contexts in which their writing may be read. Three classroom instructional approaches that can support these communication goals include revision conferences between the teacher and student or between students that are focused on effective communication between the writer and the audience. Revision conferences can support student understanding and skill building. Second, teaching students to analyze the author's tone and persona can teach how we draw conclusions based on the author's communication choices for different audiences. And lastly, instruction that asks students to compare and contrast an author's communication through time or for different audiences can make the communicative relationship more explicit for students. Now let's discuss combining reading and writing in the classroom. Reading and writing can be combined functionally. Let's look at 4 ways teachers can do this. First is writing to text models, having students read model text and imitate particular aspects of the model in their own writing. The idea here is that to write an imitation is to first carefully read and analyze the model. This can be achieved through using high-quality models or several models and guided analysis during the reading process to identify the key ideas or features of the writing. Teachers can also teach students to summarize text. Summarizing text is a highly effective strategy for building both literacy and content knowledge. Key skills needed to effectively summarize include recognizing main ideas and key details, disregard for unimportant or repetitive ideas, constructing topic sentences, paraphrasing information, and combining details such as lists into concise statements. The GIST strategy is an effective way to teach summarizing skills. Next, students can have opportunities to analyze and critique text, developing a stance or interpretation and supporting it with evidence from text sources. Asking students to respond to in-depth and extensive questions in writing increases both reading and writing skills. This is especially important as students advance through school. Teachers can use the standards for their content area to develop these types of questions. Finally, text synthesis activities require students to construct a relationship between texts, leading to a deeper understanding. Text synthesis is challenging for most students in secondary schools. They must become researchers to accomplish this type of task and consider the relationships between ideas of multiple authors. Not only does a synthesis task result in sharpening the reader's eye to important attention, but also allows for the student to develop their own thinking and understanding based on the texts and topics. Now let's discuss why we would use non-traditional and non-print texts in your discipline area. Using non-print text develops language and transmedial flexibility, provides a source of motivation that increases attendance, engagement, confidence, and interest, and directly supports students' learning of content knowledge. When using non-print text in a disciplinary area, teachers must consider and make explicit two key ideas. First is a hierarchies of representation. The hierarchies of representation in any discipline area is the way that different texts are prioritized and valued. In some cases, print-based texts can be and should be peripheral as they are not central to doing the discipline. Additionally, when teaching how to read non-print or non-traditional text, readers and writers must identify the smallest unit of meaning for the text that is needed to make meaning. For instance, in written text, we often look at morphemes, or units of meaning, when explaining words and concepts. The same is true when reading non-print information. As students develop automaticity in certain morphemes, they can extend into combined meanings and more complex relationships, and thus infer and predict information and know how to respond. For instance, learning to play notes on an instrument, building to playing a more complex composition. One thing to consider is how we make explicit these mental processes for reading in these contexts. How do we read data from instruments in science class? How do we read photos of protest marches? What mental processes do we engage in when we read these situations and circumstances? To teach these skills to students through modeling and inquiry not only engages them in the work of the discipline, but these habits of mind are transferable to more traditional reading and writing tasks. Now that you've learned some about the reading-writing connection and non-print text, consider the following questions as you design instruction. What ways do reading and writing combine in your discipline area? How do you explicitly design instruction to teach this effectively? What is the hierarchy of text in your courses? How can you teach students the habits of mind to read non-print text effectively? And how can these skills transfer between disciplines? In conclusion, remember that classrooms that take advantage of the interconnections of reading and writing can develop students who are better readers and writers.
Created using Powtoon.